Business magazine Barron's reports a new commission is looking at the financial footprint left by human trafficking. It's estimated to have been worth $150 billion in 2016. Earlier this week, Lauren Ashburn spoke with a Dr. Sandra Morgan of the Global Center for Women and Justice about the warning signs of modern-day slavery and ways to stop it.
I believe the first place we begin is educating people in our own backyard. Education, Nelson Mandela said, education is our greatest weapon. And that's what we are committed to at the Global Center for Women and Justice. We want people to understand this happens in their own backyard and that they can actually do something to stop it.
Let's talk about that. How do you recognize whether or not someone is being trafficked?
A lot of it depends on where you are and whether the purpose is for commercial sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, or for labor trafficking. But a common denominator is that someone is controlling the victim through fear, force, fraud, coercion, debt bondage. And many times the victims are the most vulnerable people in our community. And if we gave them options, if we created opportunities for them, we could intervene before they become victims.
This year's State Department report on trafficking highlighted the critical work of local communities to stop those traffickers and provide support to victims. What are you doing there in California?
We are using our online platform to have an online anti-human trafficking certificate that's college-level credit for anyone in a frontline service provider role, EMTs, firemen, law enforcement, social workers. For everyday people, we have an e-book on the critical things you need to know, and I love it when you get online and subscribe to endinghumantrafficking.org.
I witnessed firsthand when I was in Mexico earlier this year the vulnerability of asylum seekers and what they face in terms of sex trafficking and labor trafficking. So for those who are actually seeking asylum on the border, what are your recommendations?
Well, first of all, the people around them need to understand their vulnerability. I spent several weeks over the last 2 years in Greece, where you've seen the horrific pictures in the news of refugees who are desperate to escape conflict and war. And then they arrive and they have no option. So someone has to help them to not be so eager to take that job or to allow their teenager to go with someone they don't know. They need to learn how to vet those opportunities, and there are people in place to help them do that. And the other thing right here in the U.S., we need to take advantage of our national human trafficking hotline. If you're talking to someone, perhaps an asylum seeker, perhaps someone who got into a job and now they can't get out, you can call that hotline, 888-3737-888.
Dr. Sandra Morgan, Director of the Global Center for Women and Justice at Vanguard University, thank you for joining us.
And our thanks to Lauren Ashburn for that interview.